Hello and welcome to episode 14 of Alternate History of the World. Let's get into it. So, last episode we saw many things happen, including the formation of these two economical alliances, the right triangles, one being the Germans, and the diamond being the Chinese. And one pretty big thing is going to happen right now, or just in this whole era. Well, we are in the Great Depression, so that's something. Where's the dot here? Okay. But another pretty big event has just happened. You know, I was talking about how Alex Einstein, about how he rules this country. He's announced that he's bored of his world, and he decides that he's gonna leave the country and leave it into ruins. He announces that to the country, and one random day he just leaves Germany and just goes out to space. And Germany doesn't have a government anymore, and its economy is just collapsed, as it is forced to break up into about 1,000,000 pieces. And this is how the entire country blows itself up. And well, the remaining government is here, and it's a totally new government. And it doesn't have nearly as great technology, and Europe is chaos. And how about this economical alliance? It's collapsed. Yeah. And about this claim here that Germany had, it goes to this Anatolian northern Turkish country. And they are looking for deals in order to get the rest of these territories. Brazil will very quickly give over their territory, and eventually China will. And now they set their capital in Ankara. But this is going to bankrupt them, and they are going to decide to join an economical alliance. They decide to join the Diamond Economical Alliance, which is actually a pretty good idea at this moment, considering how this economical alliance just collapsed. Yep, it's gone. The alliance just simply disappeared from existence, and the Great Depression is continuing to affect the entire world, except South America. It's not affecting them as much. But because of this, China is going to attempt to expand their influence throughout Middle Eastern countries in the Ottoman Empire's old territory, and they will be able to convince many of these members to join their economical alliance. They also convince Egypt and the Palestinian Suez Canal, Sinai, Israeli, Cairo, and Nile thing. Yeah. Whatever this country here is called. It could be many things, but many countries around, specifically in Africa, will be joining the economical alliance. And eventually, all of these countries here will be joining this economical alliance, and China is going to look for other countries to maybe unite Asia. And 3 countries are going to join their union. And what are those 3 countries? The first of those countries is this one Central Asian country over here. Let me do that again. Yeah. There. Yeah. And also, this other Siberian nation is also going to join this alliance thingy mudgingy coming. Yeah. Random dots around the map for some reason. Yeah. And also, even this other Siberian nation thing here will also join the Chinese. Yeah. And China expands a lot. They're also looking to other Indian nations to join their military pact. But it's not going to succeed. With China basically being economically growing during the Depression. Yeah. And despite the Chinese having to experience the Depression, they are still economically prospering. But then the economical tank hits, with Germany's economy collapsing, the Ottomans' economy collapsing. That's kind of ruined the world, as China relies on themselves, but they also rely on a bunch of nations like Germany. So now their economy is collapsing, but they aren't on the brink of civil war yet. And well, other areas around the Chinese nation thing are going to start having riots. Like in Korea, Japan, Korea and Japan are where they start, And they are the most prominent as these two areas want independence the most. And also a bunch of these Southeast Asian areas are starting to have a bunch of riots in a bunch of these Central Asian regions. These ones aren't having any yet because they just joined. But the only areas that aren't having riots in the Chinese area are like this. But there's still riots basically everywhere else. Oh wait, and these areas that just joined. So these that I've outlined in red are the only areas that aren't having riots. Everywhere else in the Chinese Empire is having riots. And well, China is not going to be able to handle it. So they are just going to let some of these areas go. The first area they're going to let go is the Korean Republic. As Korea just becomes a thing, and they also let go of Japan and Indonesia and the Philippines. They will also let go of Malaysia, but they will still keep on to this big area here. So, what just happened? So, all of this area just got released, as they can't handle it, except some of these smaller areas here. And then they decide, because it's technically their territory, they are allowed to let them come back at any time with a treaty, and they do still keep them up Strait of Malacca, as it's a very powerful and good area for trade. And also Korea and Japan got let go. They still hold on to basically the rest of their empire. But other countries are starting to lose hope in China. But because they're so economically desperate, they are going to use any currency they can. This is a currency alliance, by the way. And the other economical alliance, the Germans' economical alliance, was a currency alliance. So all these African nations are looking to switch their currency again. They switch from the original currencies, which are some currencies, like the French currency or something, to the German currency, and now they're switching again to the Chinese currency. Countries don't really have very good governments, so, well, who knows if this will work, but it might. And also a bunch of these smaller African nations will be uniting for economical purposes. Because, well, we are in the Great Depression, and countries are failing to survive without uniting. So, these guys will just unite into one. But the Ottoman countries can't because, well, they are banned from uniting. And who knows what could happen to Qatar anytime soon. Look how small they are, but... And basically, eventually, throughout the next few years of this Great Depression, pretty much all of Africa joins the Chinese Economical Alliance. Yeah. Not a single military alliance has formed in this world yet. That's a pretty large diamond, but, okay. Time to talk more about China, because we're talking a lot about China today, as China became the strongest country in the world, despite the Depression. But they just discovered something. They have discovered something pretty big. They have discovered something they call the vortex. They call it like this sort of vortexy thing, and they are able to talk to other universes. They look at the press conference of Alex Einstein before he left Germany and went out to space. He said that he was bored of this world that he created, so he left in order to visit his other world. And what other world could this possibly be is what China is theorizing. They look into this vortex and they see another distant planet, basically only a few thousand miles away. It looks like they're right next to each other, but no gravitational force is pulling them together. So, what could this be? The Chinese will send some forces over to this world, and well, they find something pretty big. They find this creation. You may know about this. It's called Wixo. The Chinese discover Wixo in an alternate history sense, and they are going to go to themselves, their equivalent to themselves in this world, this country, and they're going to ask them some questions, and they basically get a bunch of info about this world. They realize that this is an alternate history scenario made by Alex Einstein himself. And they will warn the Chinese country that Alex Einstein might be arriving. But the Chinese country is going to keep these conversations private and not tell the rest of the world. And well, who knows what's going to happen next? As well, the Chinese just discover this thing, and they go back, take the info, and go study it. And that's going to do it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed today's episode of Alternate History of the World. See you in the next episode, and bye!